appeared before the Congressional Committee to tell what I knew of activities which might lead to an attempt to set up a fascist dictatorship.
The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society. And we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies, to secret oaths, and to secret proceedings.
Is known as the Bilderberg Group. Could their objective be world domination?
I'm not comfortable with that at all. Who elected these guys to run the planet?
They are the elitists. They feel they should run the world for their own selfish interests.
Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is the very real prospect of a new world order.
Bilderberg is making great progress toward a world government, and only an educated, informed public can stop them in their tracks.
David Rockefeller admits in his own memoirs that he wants to destroy the United States. He's a traitor!
3. President Franklin Roosevelt wrote, "The real truth of the matter is, as you and I know, that a financial element in the large centers has owned the government ever since the days of Andrew Jackson. Today, 27 to 35% of American workers' pay is taxed, and this money goes to a central bank called the Federal Reserve, or the Fed. For those of you who are unaware of the Federal Reserve Bank and what it is capable of, it is a non-government-owned bank that provides the U.S. with all of its currency. They control the inflation rate by the amount of money in circulation. Yet the most amazing aspect of the central bank is the suspension of specie payments, in which the Fed can refuse to pay their obligations, yet taxpayers must pay their debts or go bankrupt. In other words, the suspension of specie payments is the central bank's right to breach a contract with no penalty whatsoever. In even simpler terms, it's called theft. How is it that the Fed is allowed to breach any contract they wish without penalty from the government? The answer is simple. The Federal Reserve Bank has power over the government instead of under it. Carroll Quigley, Bill Clinton's mentor while at Georgetown University, wrote of central banks, "They want nothing less than to create a world system of financial control in private hands, able to dominate the political system of each country and the economy of the world as a whole, controlled in a feudalist fashion by the central banks of the world acting in concert, by secret agreements arrived at in frequent private meetings and conferences."
I had planned another closing message, but I feel compelled to say what I'm about to say. Now, I risk sounding like a conspiracy theorist, but it's no longer a theory. What I'm about to say is fact. The secret organizations of the world power elite are no longer secret. They have planned and are now leading us into a one-world communist government.
The concept of a new world order has been around for centuries. It's been receiving tremendous play over the last half of the 20th century. George Bush, the first senior president, George Bush, used it a lot in his speeches and really implies that he really wants to see a order in which we have a universal or a global type of governance in which every human being on planet Earth is ultimately responsible to policies that are being formulated at the international level.
An Ohio company has become the first American firm to implant silicon chips in employees to track their every move. Don't be surprised if your company asks to tag you in the years ahead.
2005, Congress, under the pretense of immigration control and the so-called war on terrorism, passed the REAL ID Act, under which it is projected by May 2008, you will be required to carry around a federal identification card, which includes on it a scannable barcode with your personal information. However, this barcode is only an intermediary step before the card is equipped with a VeriChip RFID tracking module, which will use radio frequencies to track your every move on the planet. If this sounds foreign to you, please note that the RFID tracking chip is already in all new American passports. And the final step is the implanted chip, which many people have already been manipulated into accepting under different pretenses.
We have a Florida family who are really pioneers in a brave new world. They have volunteered to be the first ever to have microchip identification devices implanted into their body.
After 9/11, I was really concerned with the security of my family.
I wouldn't mind having something planted permanently in my arm that would identify me.
In the end, everybody will be locked into a monitored control grid where every single action you perform is documented. And if you get out of line, they can just turn off your chip, for at that point in time, every single aspect of society will revolve around interactions with the chips. This is the picture that is painted for the future if you open your eyes to see it. A centralized one-world economy where everyone's moves and everyone's transactions are tracked and monitored, all rights removed.
The same technology used to tag animals to help reunite a pet with its owner. RFID has now won Food and Drug Administration approval for use in humans.
Can a microscopic tag be implanted in a person's body to track his every movement? Tag be implanted in a person's body to track his every movement. You will rule on that, mark my words.
A chip in everybody would be the universal monetary system par excellence, because there'd be no escape from
Ohio. The only way they can pass this bill is by creating and sustaining a panic atmosphere. That atmosphere is not justified. Many of us were told in private conversations that if we voted against this bill on Monday, that the sky would fall, the market would drop 2,000 or 3,000 points the first day, another couple thousand the second day, and a few members were even told that there would be martial law in America if we voted no. That's what I call fear-mongering.
I want everyone to understand, you've been spending a lot of time and effort over the years talking about martial law, so have I. We've been getting all of the hits we've taken, and I don't care about the hits I'm taking, but here's what people better understand. On October 7th, we were within 2.5 minutes of going into full-scale martial law. But
mark my words, it will not be 6 months before the world tests Barack Obama like they did John Kennedy. The world is looking. We're about to elect a brilliant 47-year-old president of the United States of America. Remember I said standing here, you know, anything else I said, watch, we're going to have an international crisis, a generated crisis, to test the mettle of this guy. And he's going to have to make some really tough, I don't know what the decision's going to be, but I promise you it will occur. As a student of history and having served with 7 presidents, I guarantee you it's going to happen. I can give you at least 4 or 5 scenarios from where it might originate.
Colin Powell and Joe Biden and the media and the British Prime Minister and the European leaders, they say something huge is coming. We know what it is, but we won't tell you. And the media says, oh, gee, okay, we won't even ask what it is.
Beginning in October, the Army plans to station an active unit inside the United States for the first time to serve as an on-call federal response in times of emergency. The 3rd Infantry Division's 1st Brigade Combat Team has spent 35 of the last 60 months in Iraq, but now the unit's training for domestic operations. The unit will soon be under the day-to-day control of U.S. Army North, the Army service component of Northern Command. The Army Times reports this new mission marks the first time an active unit has been given a dedicated assignment to Northern Command. The paper says the Army unit may be called upon to help with civil unrest and crowd control.
look, what's coming is so grim. It is so negative. It is so high up on the scale of confinement under martial law that we do not even have a sense from which we can grasp this. We've never had anything like it. It's coming. I put it 90 to 100, maybe 120 days out. My sources are telling me that every agency across the land is training. They are looking for civil unrest. They're looking for the moment when things tip and people say that's enough. We've gone through enough. We've lost our jobs. We've lost our homes. We've lost everything. And now we're being told we have to do this or that. We can't afford to do this. We must act back. We have to take this nation back. It's called republic building after they've totally destroyed this nation. And I tell you, Steve, I'm very, very pessimistic. However, the spirit of the American patriot is alive. There are many good men and women in the armed forces and in the police agencies that are out there that know of this. Jack McClam and others who are good friends of mine, but they've been talking about it. You've been talking about it. Alex has been talking about it. There's just a huge number of people on Patriot Radio that are getting the information out. What we need more than anything now is for people to pull their heads out of the sand and their uttermost parts and get with the program, because if they don't, they're going to be lost completely. I hope they aren't lost spiritually, but they're going to be lost in their efforts to prepare.